One level games. You start with a simple and straightforward level, but with each completion, you'll face more constraints and obstacles that will make the game progressively harder. Let's make one. But before we make a new project, let me explain you guys what I have in my mind. I'm going to create a single level for the game. Every time the level is finished, it will add a new obstacle to the same level, making it a bit harder to finish than before. Now, let's start up Unity and make a player. Okay, we need a player to move, and for that I need to write a player movement script. Are you stupid, dumb monkey, no brain in the head? We are not going to write our own script. We are going to steal from the internet. Yeah, that's a much better plan. After stealing some code from the internet, I had the player moving on my command. I think we need a character now. Let's make a good-looking strong character with distinguishable features. A circle. This is Bob. Bob is stuck in the red forest. The goal of the game is to help Bob escape the forest. I made a basic layout for the game. Bob is in one corner and the escape point is on the other corner. Pretty simple. Let's make ground for Bob to walk on. I made a color palette and started designing the ground. The ground is going to be in two layers, making the foreground and the background, while Bob sits in between the layers. This makes it feel like he's part of the world. Okay, the first level of the game is going to be a simple and straightforward level where you go from one point to another. Let's just create an empty game object, put in a box collider with the isTrigger parameter set to true. This just means when the player touches the box collider, the level is completed, and it will load the next level. Let's test it out for now. And of course it doesn't work on the first try. After staring at the screen aimlessly, I figured it out. One of the game objects needs a rigid body component for the isTrigger parameter to work. And it's working as intended. For the next iteration, I made a block. You have to jump over the block in order to finish the level. Okay, what should I add next? Spikes. Yeah, that is never done before. I made a spike in Photoshop and brought it in game. Each spike has this green line which tells if Bob is standing beneath the spike. And if Bob is beneath the spike, they fall down killing him. But there was a problem with it. You see, you can just run past the spikes, no need to stand there. How did I fix it? I just made all the spikes one single object and they all fall at once when Bob is beneath it. Now you can't just run past them. Next, I added a platform with spikes. Except these spikes don't fall on Bob. And the platform rotates when Bob jumps on it. I also made a teleporter in Photoshop, brought it in Unity, and did some programming myself.
Bruh.
Now I remember why I'm stealing code from the internet. Fixed it. Just had to stop teleporting Bob if he had just been teleported. I ran into another problem. These platform and spikes and teleporters were taking all the space on the screen, leaving me with no space to add a new obstacle. That's when my mega mind went crazy, and now Bob can go underground. Alright, the background is looking empty, so I made a few layers in Photoshop and brought them in Unity, and now the background looks really nice. After making the background, I started messing with Unity's particle system to spawn particles when Bob dies. I ended up making particles for the teleporter as well. I also made an actual exit so that the player knows where he must go. Time to finish the game by adding some music and sound effects. And then making a main menu. Finally, added some post-processing to wrap up the project. And here's the final result.